I'm your host, Micah Versman, and this is the Producer Podcast. Today, we're continuing our conversation with Nathan Tauch on the realm of live stream and broadcast media productions, as well as talking to him about how to manage that work-life balance when it comes to the film industry. So without further ado, let's get started and dive on in. So, what advice do you have for people when it comes to building out that crew for events?
Find people who are smarter than you. I mean, the bottom line, if you can find people who are more talented than you, always hire them first. And that's how I've always gone about things. Especially in a high stress scenario where I know I'm going to be so consumed by whatever thing that I'm working on at the moment. I need someone grounded who can take care of their particular task and not waver and do an excellent job no matter how chaotic I get. And that's I guess that's why a lot of people work with me, because as a technician I am very focused on this is the job, this is how I build it, this is everything. In a split second I can explain exactly why I did this. I have all the pathways mapped out in my head. I'm not thinking about anything else except this particular job.
Yeah.
As a producer, you can't do that. You cannot focus on one element too long. Don't do it. You'll kill yourself in the end, because you'll trash the project, number one, and you'll start micromanaging people. Hire the best people that you can for the job and maintain that level of trust and dependency and reliability throughout a project, throughout the months you work together and months. And it was a little bit easier for me, and especially for people starting out when you don't have jobs every single month or you don't have jobs every single week. Just by putting out referrals, just by really taking care of the people that you work with, the level of trust, the level of understanding is so much higher than a one-off contractor. Because when you have that level of understanding with someone and are able to continually work for them and provide for them, because you don't know how bad they needed that job, and they don't know how bad you needed that job to go right.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, you're just circulating. Circulate the wealth. Circulate just being a decent human being and helping a brother out. Come on, man. Like, that's at the end of the day, that's how it needs to be. You know, we take care of each other in the industry. If somebody's struggling, you throw them some work. Skip a job. Get somebody in. And those kinds of people who are committed to each other, who have that understanding, who share work, who are not so in their head thinking, oh man, I'm some incredible DP. I've only made like 2 feature films, but I charge like $1,200 a day. Great, swipe left and let's get some guy who's a real person. Like, at the end, that's who I will always hire. Those reliable people. And I don't care what they charge. I don't care, like, their whole system or whatever. I will make things work for them just because I know that they're going to benefit. They're going to have consistent work out of me. I'm going to have consistent excellence out of them. And that's it. That's what you need,
Yeah.
And if everybody's reasonable and, tries to take care of each other, it's just going to be a positive environment overall. And sometimes when I'm looking for new labor, I don't even put out ads. I don't put out anything like that. I always go based off referrals.
Okay.
Every single time. If I don't have a referral from someone, I do not hire them. I just don't. Especially on high-risk jobs. There's some
Yeah.
people that I've worked with that I've heard like things about, and maybe I'll help them get a job on somebody else's set and just kind of lurk and be like, hey, what's going on over there? How do you do? And if I hear good things, then they're likely to get a call. Um, but we filter through a lot of inquiries about work, and that's really that's really not the way to get work.
Mm-hmm.
I care mostly about what someone says about the guys that I work with. Like I hate negative reviews, because we just in a live environment you need perfection, and
Yeah.
I expect excellence, and I expect that of myself. And all my guys understand that. They're aware of it. That doesn't mean we don't make mistakes. That doesn't mean, uh, we don't have issues. But if you were to ask every single person that I work with, is there a big attitude on set? No. We're all in our lanes. We all do our jobs. We all respect each other, and we work through things. And there's only one yelling guy on set. He's wearing a baseball cap and a headset, and he's freaking out right now, but I guarantee he'll be fine in a minute. No, I I I enjoy working with people that are level-headed, that
Mm-hmm.
have really big life goals. Like all my guys have really cool lives. I admire all of them because they're more talented than me. I'm just, that's the crazy thing. Um, and I love that. I love having people who are so high above me, not only
Yeah.
mentally, but just inability in itself. Like I wish that I could be like as good as some of my guys, and the fact that they're working with us, and they've continued to work with us for a long time,
Mm-hmm.
is just awesome. I love that. It's amazing.
Yeah. No, that it's always fun when you get to keep bringing the same people on
Yeah.
and working with them.
And they know people as well, and so they'll bring in people that they know, and we all kind of distribute. And I recommend people to other people that I work with. Some of the
Mm-hmm.
more freelance stuff that I do on the side. Um, it's all a part of it. And I think that equality and not treating life as, well, it's my job, it's my whole thing. I don't care. I don't care.
Yeah.
All that matters is we're here for 3 days. Let's make the best show that we can, and let's move on to the next show. Because, like, hey, the paycheck's coming in 14 days. Let's keep going. Let's keep going, man. Let's see how much we can do. Let's see how fast we can get this rolling. Like, I love it. I love the energy, especially because we all work brutal hours. You know,
Mm-hmm.
uh, broadcast can be really rough on the body, and so I try to book uh, book shows that are a little bit more health minded
Okay.
for my guys, because it's not hard to work 20-hour days every single day a week. I did it. I was working 90-hour weeks, you know, a while back, and I was just a machine. This non-stop craziness. I don't recommend anybody do that. Take care of yourself. The money's not worth it. You can get paid for other things.
Yeah.
Invest your money. It would have made interest so much faster, and I would spend less gas money too, probably. Uh, yeah, you have to take care of yourself, and that's another thing that I preach to my guys and just anybody in the industry. And if 2020 has taught us anything, take care of yourself. Like
Yes.
it when your job's gone, when all the distractions are gone, all you have is your health. And if you're feeling like crap, like you're not going to have a good time ever. Even you could be doing the most enjoyable thing in the world, but if you feel like garbage, something needs to be done. Just
Mm-hmm.
something needs to be done, especially working in high stress environments. Um, I've seen guys had to take pretty crazy breaks just because they got burnt out, and I got burnt
Yeah.
out too. I had some health issues that I had to take care of. But, getting on a diet, regular, working out, forcing yourself to take days off, and enjoy life a little bit. It's all important. Family time, social interaction. 2020, we all need some social interaction. We need those Zoom calls. We need those,
Yes.
those couch parties. If do something. Do something to have a better connection with your fellow human being. Because I'm done with Facebook, man. We're done. We're done messaging people back and forth. Let's talk to people face to face. And now people don't have an excuse because we have Zoom. So it'll crash, but it's fine.
Yep. So I've never done like anything in broadcast. So is there any type of like post-production
Yeah.
for broadcast stuff?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. So a lot of shows are just whatever's in program gets recorded and pushed out to client. Very typical. But in the post elements, there's actually a couple jobs, especially for editors and
Okay.
graphic designers. So a lot of shows will hire an editor for post processing. They'll do different cuts of different elements. Usually that'll be within whatever production company ran, but not always. And also there's opportunities for making content for live streams, because a lot of the times what I've been seeing more and more of is a great starting point for people in the industry. And if you're listening and you want to get into the industry, I'm going to tell you something. It's a big secret. It's called a job. Uh, there are so many companies hiring private videographers right now to
Okay.
produce content for live streams so that they don't have to pay from the AV companies. It's not hurting my wallet. Sit down. You're fine. Get one of those jobs. If you want a fast track into the world of broadcast and commercial filmmaking, that is an excellent opportunity for a filmmaker. Because number one, you're going to learn deadlines. Ooh, the dreaded
Yes.
word. Because I bet right now you have 4 projects stacking up on your computer. Your desktop is a mess. You're listening to this and you have files all over the place. You're not organized. Your Google, you have 50 tabs open on your Google. Yeah, I see you. I see how it is. But listen, life gets better. You have to learn accountability, and one great way to do that is to work with a company and have those expectations set, or work with a fellow production company who has that skill set. And especially in broadcast, because you always have deadlines. You always have deadlines. You are not allowed to not have a deadline because it is going live.
Right.
So if you screw up, your job is gone. Goodbye. And it is very common. When I was starting out, I witnessed so many people get fired, so many people not be able to take the stress, not be able to deliver. They were just removed for projects. No pay, no nothing. And that was a really tough crash course for the realization that you have to be on point, you have to learn things, and you have to be able to do things. And that's a tough thing to learn, especially in a high stress environment. So if you're looking to do something, I mean, first of all, that's what I would recommend. Find something that's not going to be immensely stressful, but find something that's going to challenge your ability to work with others and meet deadlines. Because if you can do those 2 things, you're good. You can work for anybody. Patience and trust. Trust the process. Be patient with people.
No, that's really good. A lot of that, what you're just saying, ties into a question I had coming up, so I'm just going to ask it now while we're kind of talking about that. But what advice do you have for filmmakers that are wanting to get into the live stream and broadcast arena?
Stay away. No, there are so many sources online right now. If you really want to get in, Google local AV companies, audiovisual technicians in your area, pick someone's brain.
Okay.
This industry is extremely technical. There's a lot that you need to learn. There's a lot. If you think you know cameras, you're going to relearn it for broadcast. That's how it is. Especially if you're going to move up the totem and you're going to work some more high-stress jobs. Now, there's so many different departments. I mean, you have camera utility, you have camera op, you have shader, you have V2, V1, you have TDs, you have A1, A2, all these different chairs, all these different seats. The easiest way to figure out what's your niche, what's going to be best for you, is to get on a set. And I'm sure if you're a filmmaker, if you've already started in the industry, you know someone who's in broadcast, someone who's in events. Go to live events. Go see the process. See how they do it. Watch television. I know I don't even watch television, but watch how they do it. Look at all the elements. Write it out. How many lower thirds were there? How many changes? How many different camera configurations? What graphics played? How many commercials? What were the time lengths on the commercials? What were the times of the segments? Was there a timer? Was there a scrolling ticker at the bottom? There's all these different little elements that are all happening all at once. Those are usually individual jobs.
Okay.
And so when you look at it that way, you say, okay, what would I want to do? Let me start there. If you just want to do camera, great. Learn to keep a camera 100% straight. I guarantee you're touching your camera too much. I guarantee if you've grown up with a DSLR, you're touching your camera too much. Get your hands off the camera. It's not center. It's shaking. You're trying to hold it live, it's got to be rock solid still. You know the best way to do that? Hands off. But not as a filmmaker. Not Mr. Art Deco over there. You haven't learned that yet. And those are the skills and those are the things that you have to learn, that you have to get called out on, those little things that you slowly learn through the process by doing. And I really preach that is you need to do it. You have to go out and find someone to work with or shadow. Say, I'll go out and shadow a project. You know, give me $75 and some gas money, and let me just see how your production works.
Yeah.
It is so valuable because they'll let you. It's a very open industry. There's a lot of jobs, but you also have You have to have the dedication. You have to wake up on time. You have to show up. You have to be able to work with other people, communicate. All great skills, but do you have them? Are you working on them? Are you doing your research? You know, there's so much in finding a position that I certainly didn't know when I started. I thought I was going to be some, mystical filmmaker, and I realized I don't like that.
Yeah.
I don't like directing feature films, and it's not my preference. Or television for that matter. I would rather cut a sports game or produce a large-scale ballroom event or do a convention or something. That's my niche. That's where I shine. That's what I love. I love that stress. I love to be able to work with other people, put them in the seat, and let them run.
Mm-hmm.
And when I'm not doing that, I like being in the seat and seeing someone with more skill than me teaching me how to do my job. And when I have someone who's not very good at that job, I learn even more, which you'll find as well. But yeah, I think that's the easiest way to kind of get started. But what you're doing right now, sitting there with all the empty files on your desktop, I'm sure there's one person on here who's like, how does he know? It's I know.
Yes.
I know. Mine's covered too. Don't worry. Both computers. All three. Oh no. I gave away all my secrets. You have to go out and get.
Mm-hmm.
You have to go out and get. And the films that you're working on matter. And they might be the worst film to you, but they are making progress for you. And every project you make, I don't know how many projects I went through before I had what I classified as my leap.
Yeah.
I don't know. I honestly, I produced a lot, and I just didn't stop. And even then, it wasn't good. I just knew the process. and I was able to execute the process.
Mm-hmm.
The quality didn't really matter to me. All that mattered was perfecting the process. The quality happened working with people more skilled than I am, that I saw myself, oh, this is where I'm slacking, this is what I'm not doing, this is those areas. That's what fixed those little nuances.
Yeah.
And especially in a live environment, understanding how people's minds work, understanding what things are supposed to look like, what are, how we're supposed to interpret a live broadcast, having been programmed for years and years and years on exactly how to do it. You'd think you could be a pro just off the bat, but you're not yet. But you should try.
So I got a few more questions for you.
Shoot.
So I'm curious to hear where you see the live streaming and broadcasting going in the future now, coming, especially as things are opening back up now after 2020.
Yeah, we've already kind of experienced this in the quoting process for 2021 here. A lot of mixed events where you have limited attendance, and then you have a good portion being live streamed. A lot of those events are ticketed, so you're able to purchase online and attend, but it's kind of undetermined. So what a lot of the AV companies and what we've participated in as well is designing live stream studios to be able to produce corporate corporate meetings, galas, different fundraising events, all that kind of things internally in a very contained environment. Now, as things open up, I guarantee that there is going to be a drop in that, but I have a feeling that it's going to be integrated and mixed. That'll be partially studio-based, partially live, in an event space. But now that clients are kind of understanding that things can be a little bit more contained, things can be designed in a particular way and a little bit more streamlined, I'm led to believe that this is going to be kind of the state of the union for a long time, which I love, because it really makes things function as a television studio more so than a live event, which is, number one, more jobs, number two, higher quality broadcasts, and number three, it's quality content. Just the overall feel and the confidence of a client it's impeccable, and it's tangible. You can't get this amount of control and perfection in broadcasts like you could live, without having an enormous budget. We did it on so many shows, and yes, we've done nigh perfect broadcasts and all the kinds of things, but you still have errors, you still have issues, a lot of variables that it's difficult to control, versus in a studio environment where it's all streamlined. You don't have dips in the live stream because AT&T or Xfinity or whoever didn't install the right kind of line or whatever, the right fiber line or whatever, for that particular event. Your little wireless transmitter that you spent $25,000 for the rental for that weekend goes out. Why? Comcast shrugs their shoulders. It just doesn't happen in the studio environment like it did live. And some of those things that even the broadcasters couldn't control without going through straight satellite, it just doesn't happen in the studio, and a lot of clients love that. So I don't foresee it going away anytime soon. And for guys like me, I love producing live shows and live events, and not all of it goes to broadcast. Some of it does. I can tell you straight off the bat, there are no shows that I booked this year that are not mixed or entirely studio-based. And especially in the Chicago area, very few productions that I know of will be 100% self-contained until we are further along in the vaccination process and also just the herd immunity process.
Mm-hmm.
And I think once, maybe 2022 we'll start seeing more consistency. But we do have, some festivals coming up this year that's going to be the test to see what
Yeah.
happens. So now that I see things opening up and more people getting vaccinated and more people getting a little bit smarter with how they're doing things, and a little bit more creative too. Because whether you support or don't support, I don't really care. The fact is we all have a limitation now.
Yep.
How are we going to work with it? And it shouldn't be a political thing. It should just be how are we going to get through this? How are we going to effectively keep those who are sensitive to the topic, taken care of, and feel that they're in a safe environment, and those who aren't in the same room without causing, number one, fighting, or number two, any kind of stress, or worse, everybody getting sick. Um, so, I like where the industry has gone, cleaning equipment, taking care of employees, making sure people get rest, people are taken care
Yes.
of, because that just didn't happen prior to 2020. It was a brutal industry.
Mm-hmm.
I know guys who hadn't slept in days and are just working and working and working and uh, just killing their bodies. So I think one of the positive things that has come out of this is self-care, and mental health as well. Um, uh, just as important as your physical health, your mental health.
Definitely.
And the loneliness that people have experienced in 2020, people want to be together. People want to be connected. People want all those things. But there's still limitations and that looming feeling. How can you make a set comfortable, and how can you make an environment where the people who are attending your event feel safe as well? And it's just one of those things that we all have to adapt. We all have to figure out, like, what's the balance, what's ridiculous, and what's just, the way things are.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to be forever. I firmly believe that. I have a lot of faith in modern science that, we can really overcome, 99% of things. And once we get to that point, I think that maybe we'll see the studios drop, but I think clients just really like them. They really like them, and we like them too. And so hopefully we can continue that live and not live kind of balance between everything.
All right. Yeah. No, that's really cool to hear your perspective on all that and how you see it going forward. So, my next question is, what advice do you have for filmmakers about how to balance getting the job done with having a family?
It is incredibly difficult, especially in the world of broadcast. The divorce rates are high. The single parenthood is high. I happen to be one of the statistics, and it is something that I deeply care about, and why everyone that I hire, I say, if you need to go, if you need to take care of something, at the drop of a hat, you let me know. And that attitude is so important, and that family natured business that you see in small businesses, and that's my dad talking.
Mm-hmm.
That's my 100% my dad, because my dad is a family man, and he taught me that very clearly. And there was a time in my life that I didn't. I was so consumed with my career, and so I was looking for that. Oh, what's that next project? What's that next thing? I was so consumed with that eventually things kind of came to a point where I was like, all right, I need to tame it down. Nothing is more important than family. And it wasn't, and the funny thing, it wasn't even a money thing. It
Okay.
wasn't even status thing. It was just the craving to work and workaholic. A lot of people in the industry are workaholics, and they really don't know how bad it is until they stop. And you saw a lot of unrest. We saw a lot of people in 2020 just at a complete loss of what to do with their lives. Because all they did was work. Everything that they could ever do was be on that next project, and boom, it's gone. And then boredom sets in. Frustration sets in. Your mental health goes. That's when problems start. And I know there was a time in 2020 where I was just looking at my desk and saying, wow, there's nothing on the calendar this month. And being so incredibly stressed and so worked up. And I thought, well, I shouldn't be thinking about that this way. I should be thinking, look at all this time I have to spend with my daughter and my family. Because the work's coming back. You can always make more money. You'll always get that opportunity to stress yourself out. Don't worry, Mr. 500 tabs open on your computer. Not one of those things on B&H is going to save $1 worth of time with your family. Wake up. Go see mom. Go see dad. Go see grandpa. You know, if you have a family, take care of them. And that's been rooted in me for a long time. But I'm in the same boat as I'm sure a lot of you may be, that you get so consumed with your work that you forget to take a walk. You forget to call someone. You forget to take care of yourself. Get yourself a cup of coffee that isn't 3 days old. Nathan Payne knows what I'm talking about. Don't show him this. But you need the balance. You have to have work-life balance. And if you think you don't, you're lying to yourself. You really are, because you're missing out on a lot. No work on your table is more important than your family. No work on your table is more important than you. Because this isn't going anywhere. But you stress yourself out enough, you don't take care of your body enough, you don't take care of your family enough, you never know what you can lose. So you have to work on yourself, work on your family, then comes work. In that order. Because you're no good to your family if you don't take care of yourself either. You know? Yes. And I've heard a lot of that preaching this year. A good friend of mine hadn't taken care of himself in years. Decided, hey, I'm just going to go get a checkup. Found out he had skin cancer. If he had never taken the time to just take care of himself, he could have been in a whole world of hurt. And that's so important. You know, go for a walk, get outside, experience those things, and then come back and get your things done. You can close your tabs now.
No, that was really good. So I have one more question that kind of ties into what you were talking about there. But do you have any tips on how to avoid bringing the stress of the job home to your family?
One of the biggest things that I found that works, because I was a laptop on the table kind of person. Okay. And I'm sure, show of hands in this imaginary scenario, how many people eat their meal with their laptop open or at their desk? Do you eat dinner at a table? Do you eat lunch at a table by yourself without any distractions? Do you eat breakfast at a table without any distractions? When was the last time you sat on your porch and had a cup of coffee with your wife, your girlfriend, your daughter, your son? Putting the electronics away and just spending that moment. Now, why don't you do that regularly? Somebody told me that a while back, and I felt so attacked. Because at that very moment, I was sitting at my desk with 3 projects open, eating 3 pieces of pizza with a beer and a Coke. And I was thinking, all right, yeah, okay. And the next day, it's like, shoot, I gotta go, gotta buy a table. Just those little things, can make a world of difference. Take an hour after a project. Get off the phone. Do something else. I don't care what it is. Watch a movie. Watch a movie with your family. Go for a walk. Work out. Clean your dirty office that's covered in garbage right now. Empty that trash can that's overflowing. Do something else. Get your mind off of it. And on a side note on that, if you're experiencing workforce depression, which is you wake up, you go to work, you come home, you're burnt out, you just go back to work because there's nobody to talk to, nothing to do. A lot of single guys, a lot of single gals out there who are working, live on their own, live with roommates. When was the last time you had a great conversation with your roommate? Do you just pass by each other and go off to do your own things? Find something other than your work to preoccupy your time. Just do 30 minutes, an hour after something stressful. It makes a world of difference. For me, I started working out. I was in a bad place. 2019, I was working so much. I had gained a ton of weight. I was sitting around, 230, 235, something like that. I had been 190 my entire life, basically. And I felt like garbage. And so I started a diet because I was physically in pain. I was having a lot of issues. I went to a doctor, and they matched me up with a nutritionist to start work on it. Best decision I ever made, honestly. I dropped 35 pounds, and I've kept it off. And one of the biggest factors that I remember on the phone with a lady, she said, "How stressful is your job?" And I was the biggest liar. I was like, "Oh, yes, it's fine. It's great. Great." Meanwhile, I'm going to work. I'm working 15 hours. I'm coming home, changing diapers. My daughter's up to all hours of the night, being a crazy person, all kinds of stuff. Yeah, right, Nate. Grow up. Your job is stressful. So what can we do? So she started working with me. Said, "What is the most negative thing that you think about yourself when you look in the mirror?" I said, "Well, number one, my weight. 100%. Because I got pictures of me on the wall that I took down. Like, no one can see this." And she said, "Well, all right, 30 minutes after you come home from your long, stressful job, work out. And then start doing it before you go to your job." I was like, all right, whatever. So I ignored her for a month. And then when I started implementing that, it really made a difference. It was a little bit of me time, just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just enough to get me centered to a point where I'm not so focused on, oh my God, we have a deadline tomorrow. I have all this kind of stuff. We have to make sure the PowerPoint's correct. Have to check in with this client. Have to call this client because their job's coming up next week. Nothing. I exhausted myself physically completely. But it's not so easy for everybody. And it wasn't easy for me either. It was rough. But it's very easy when you are a workaholic or someone who's really intent on their career to fall into bad habits. Addiction. Reliance. Just loneliness in general. Instead of calling someone, you just go back to work. I will always preach this, that your physical health and your mental health need to be on par. And if one is out of balance, you're not a happy person. It just gets rough. It gets really rough. But if you get those in check, you're so much better off. You can work as hard as you want. You can make as much money as you want. You could have your dream job. You could do all that kind of stuff. But if you're not right, it's unbearable. And you will burn yourself out. And you will have a midlife crisis. And it'll be funny to other people, but it won't be funny to you. Because it's real. And a lot of people don't take it seriously. I do. I've been through it. I've been through the ringer. And as soon as you can find inner peace to the point where you just can't help but share it with other people, like that's when you know you have something right. That's when you know you're on the right path. You're actually making progress, and your work is not, putting you into a state of stress and uncertainty. And with 2020, we have a whole nother form of stress, which is the absence of work, the absence of functionality, people feeling useless with all these skills, just hanging around doing nothing. Well, there's always something to do. And if there's one place you can start, it's your own body. Start there. Because if you can't fix you, you're just not ready. Like you gotta work or get with people who can inspire you to be a better person, to be more proactive, do more. I've seen so many awesome stories about people going out and volunteering in 2020 and helping people and doing things that they probably didn't have the means to do. But they did it anyway, and they did it out of selflessness and just the sheer intent of sharing their inner peace. And I love that. I think that's so important because that inspires other people to get to that point and to want to get to that point and be able to also feel that. So yeah, as you can tell, like I got a couple opinions on this, but
Yeah. That was good because you're in a different area of life than me, so some of the things you've had to deal with, I haven't had to, deal with yet myself, and so it's always nice to learn from people a step ahead of me.
Not that old.
With that, we'll go ahead and wrap up this episode, but those were a lot of good. I learned a lot. Like I said, I've never done anything in broadcast, so it's all brand new to me. But thank you very much for coming on and chatting with us about it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And watch all the other ones below this one. Don't be slacking. And close all those tabs. Organize your files.
And with that, we're going to wrap up this episode of the Producer Podcast. Until next time, make sure to subscribe to the Producer Podcast, and thanks for listening.